We will get to those rain chances in a moment, but first tonight, what the federal government calls an enhanced targeted operation to enforce immigration law is now underway, and arrests were made in North Texas. Just outside of Denver, the DEA took 50 undocumented migrants into custody today. ICE agents were also on the ground in Chicago, but it is unclear how many people they arrested there.
The last thing he said to me was, "Please, sir, save Texas. We're going to do that. We're going to save Texas from the fire burning on our own border before sunrise."
Cartels are trying to destroy our country. They're evil. She's so afraid of the cartel she can't walk, so that's the reason.
The desert slept under cold wind. Then the engines broke the silence. 5:30 a.m. Flashing lights ripped through the dark outside Laredo, cutting across miles of dust and wire ICE strike teams, DEA fast units, FBI hostage rescue, and Texas Rangers moved as one. Target: a migrant smuggling ring masking a cartel fortress. Doors shattered. Agents yelled, "Federal warrant, hands up!" Families froze, realizing this wasn't patrol, it was war. Operation Lone Sentinel had begun. For 3 weeks, federal eyes had watched every truck, every phone, every whisper from Eagle Pass to Del Rio. The pattern was always the same: border crossers by night, gun runners by dawn, and tonight, the net closed.
Some Texas National Guard members deployed to Illinois have been sent home because they appear to be overweight.
By 6/12, over 700 suspects were in custody. Men from Mexico, Guatemala, Venezuela, even Russia's Far East, some ex-military, some carried tattoos of cartel saints, all part of something bigger. As dawn bled across the Rio Grande, one truth hit like thunder. This wasn't about immigration anymore, it was an insurgency. Would you stand behind raids like this to protect your city? Type yes if you would, no if you think it's gone too far. By noon, agents thought it was over. Then they opened the walls. At just one compound near Zapata, they found hell. 4.9 tons of narcotics in a single site, 2.8 tons fentanyl, 1.3 tons meth, 800 kilos pure cocaine, and more than 430 weapons, including suppressed M4s, sniper rifles, RPG tubes, and a live shoulder-fired SAM. Cash, $18.7 million, stacked in diesel barrels. At the forward command post near Laughlin Air Base, evidence tables overflowed, burner phones still buzzing, hard drives live, encrypted chats pinging coordinates across Nuevo Laredo. In one safe house, a false wall hid 4 money counters and a tablet streaming live from Monterey. The message blinked. Phase 3. Move north. Dallas cells ready. Analysts followed the trail up the I-35 corridor, from Jalisco through Reynosa into the heart of Texas commerce. By nightfall, the truth was undeniable. The Jalisco New Generation Cartel had built a war machine inside America's border. Illegal migration wasn't a movement, it was camouflage. Their orders were simple: move money, move guns, move death, and stay invisible. Within the hour, the Department of Homeland Security raised the national threat level to Code Amber. Every tactical unit across the border went on 24-hour standby. FBI cyber teams started tracing burner phone clusters through Laredo, Reynosa, and Monterey Border Patrol intel units, intercepted encrypted signals from 5 suspected safe houses, warehouses, garages, and an old railside compound near Falcon Bridge. On the operations board, 5 red markers flashed in the dark. Every ping, every account, every shipment log pointed to one thing: a coordinated cartel command network inside Texas soil. No one slept. SWAT medics checked their trauma kits. Helicopter crews tested rotors under blackout. Inside the command bunker near Laughlin Air Base, a single encrypted message arrived from Washington: prepare for simultaneous strikes. No one spoke. They didn't need to. The investigation was over. The assault was about to begin. Would you ever believe illegal migration could conceal a cartel war machine this big? Share this video if you believe America needs stronger border intelligence. 3:42 a.m. ICE Command Center, Laredo. The room was still except for the ticking wall clock and the hum of satellite servers. 5 targets, 5 strike teams. On the digital map, red markers pulsed like warning flares. A final message blinked across the terminal: all units, execute. 3 outside, the Texas night glowed faint red from refinery haze. Convoys of armored ICE Bearcats, DEA assault vehicles, and FBI tactical trucks rolled through industrial streets near Rio Bravo and Bridgeview, tires hissing across wet asphalt. Above them, a DHS Black Hawk drifted low through fog, its infrared cameras painting ghostly red outlines across rooftops. At the first target, agents stacked tight along a corrugated steel door. Boom! A flashbang shattered the silence, followed by the crash of boots and shouts, "Breach! Breach!" Inside, the air stank of acid and gasoline. Rows of chemical drums leaked fluorescent residue marked Producto de Mexico. Gunfire erupted from the mezzanine. CJNG gunmen unleashed controlled bursts through the haze. Agents returned fire, controlled, surgical bursts, muzzle flashes strobed against the steel rafters like lightning. In 43 seconds, 2 hostiles were down, 3 more cuffed, and the first site secure. The cartel had just lost its southern nerve center, and the night was far from over. 3:58 a.m., Laredo Industrial Zone, Texas. Across town, near the Rio Bravo freight yards, another strike team moved inch by inch through a decaying warehouse. Explosions cracked the night wide open, walls trembled. Inside, rows of armored vests, encrypted sat phones, and boxes of fentanyl pills disguised as cough drops. In the back, a hidden hatch opened into a smuggling tunnel, 30 feet deep, lined with concrete, leading to a van fitted with false diesel tanks and oxygen-sealed panels for long-distance runs across the state. At the command center, the digital map pulsed with 5 red beacons flashing in rhythm. Every team checked in. Echo 1 clear. Bravo 2 advancing. Target 4, heavy resistance. That resistance came fast. In Nuevo Laredo's sister district across the river, agents breached a steel warehouse that doubled as a cartel bunker. They didn't expect what waited inside. The first grenade rolled underfoot, clinking once before it detonated. The blast slammed through the stairwell, shaking. The concrete shrapnel tore through armor. One ICE agent went down, bleeding, silent. A SWAT medic dragged him behind cover while gunfire echoed through the chamber. CJNG enforcers fought like soldiers, not smugglers. Short bursts, controlled fire, coordinated movement. They weren't defending drugs. They were defending a fortress. The agents pushed forward, room to room, muzzle flashes cutting through the dust. Every inch gained in blood and smoke. Shell casings rained like metal hail. By 4:21, the final barricade fell. The air reeked of cordite and diesel, and the numbers began to speak. 5.1 tons of narcotics seized, 412 firearms recovered, 2 anti-air launchers, 4 grenade tubes, 32 suspects captured alive, each weapon tagged with codes tied to Jalisco logistics networks, each suspect carrying a U.S. counterfeit port badge. In total, more than 6.7 tons of drugs, weapons, and contraband were pulled from cartel hands before sunrise radio chatter filled the air. Target secured. 0 civilian casualties. Prepare for extraction. As dawn rose over the border towns, armored convoys rolled back toward the field HQ near Eagle Pass. Trucks caked in mud, windows cracked, but victorious. Steam lifted from the ground, mixing with the scent of rain and gunpowder. Texas had taken a hit, but it was standing again. For the first time in years, the southern corridor was breathing clean air. For the agents of Operation Lone Sentinel, one message echoed across the comms. America isn't waiting anymore. We're striking first. Would you support military-style raids on U.S. soil to stop the next cartel invasion? Yes or no? Subscribe if you stand with those who walk into fire so others can wake up free. 4:47 a.m. Laredo, Texas. The CJNG network had built a shadow economy across southern Texas, hiding behind ranch fronts, truck depots, and small-town businesses that looked harmless from the outside. They used illegal migration as camouflage, slipping cartel couriers through the chaos of families, farmhands, and asylum seekers. ICE analysts traced hundreds of digital transfers moving through shell companies registered under fake storefronts, auto shops, feed suppliers, and tire yards that hadn't made a real sale in years. Each one quietly moved cash in loops. $40,000 here, $90,000 there, all funneled south through encrypted wire transfers to Monterrey, Veracruz, and Guadalajara. It wasn't random, it was architecture, a criminal economy built to blend with honest life. In one decrypted ledger, a disturbing ratio appeared. For every 7 migrants processed, 1 had contact with cartel-linked employers. Some were paid in cash to drive sealed shipments. Others acted as lookouts or handlers, and too many simply vanished after crossing the river. One federal investigator summed it up. They didn't just cross the border, they nested inside it. The U.S. counterstrike came fast. FBI cyber teams cracked encrypted CJNG comms in under 6 hours. Homeland Security froze $18.2 million in assets tied to smuggling fronts across Texas, New Mexico, and Louisiana. DEA chemists matched seized compounds to superlab fentanyl batches, identical to those found in Guadalajara's western corridor. Proof: direct logistics from Jalisco to Laredo to Houston drone sweeps over Mission, Del Rio, and Eagle Pass revealed heat signatures in freight lots, showing false bulkheads in refrigerated semis. One truck abandoned off Highway 83 carried weapon parts, AR lowers, pill molds, and 15 kilograms of precursor powder. The driver, a teen migrant from Honduras, thought he was hauling fruit. He'd been promised $700 and a green card. By week's end, 117 suspects were in custody, 16 confirmed CJNG operatives charged in federal court, and 80 active warrants issued across 3 border states. Evidence crates stamped Operation Lone Sentinel. Phase 2 filled the hangar at Laughlin Air Base. Through it all, one message echoed in every debrief. The cartels had infiltrated America's border, but now, America was deep inside theirs. By dawn on April 15, 2025, the border was quiet. Too quiet. As the reports came in and the evidence vaults filled with crates, America exhaled, but not in relief. The battles inside Laredo and Eagle Pass had ended in victory. Yet a new one was already forming, not in the alleys or safe houses, but outside the wire. This time, there would be no flashbangs, no gunfire, only microphones, cameras, and raised voices. Because when a war ends in the field, it always begins again in the streets, the fight over what it all meant. In the days after Operation Lone Sentinel, the sound of protest replaced the sound of sirens. Outside the ICE field office in San Antonio, hundreds gathered under a storm-gray sky, holding signs that read, "Protect families, not fear," and "No human is illegal." Voices clashed in the rain. Reporters shouted questions. Some demanded answers. Others demanded accountability. 8 community leaders claimed the raids had swept up migrants with no criminal record. Farmhands, mechanics, mothers who had lived quietly for years. They said they were after the cartel. One activist told local news. But they took the fathers who built this town. That's not justice, that's punishment. Across Del Rio and Laredo's West End, churches opened their doors, offering refuge to frightened families, while immigration lawyers raced through the night to locate detainees moved to federal holding centers. For critics, Lone Sentinel became a symbol of fear-driven policy, a political storm disguised as protection. But inside the DHS command post near Laughlin Air Base, officials stood firm. The data told a different story. Every arrest had exposed another link in the CJNG's ghost network. Weapons routed through migrant convoys, drugs hidden in aid trucks. "We don't choose who hides among killers," an ICE spokesperson said. "We find them before they find more victims." Within days, Homeland Security announced the campaign's expansion into New Mexico, Arizona, and Louisiana, calling it a necessary escalation to secure America's southern arteries. The controversy tore across headlines, splitting the nation in half, but for the men and women who had breached those doors under fire, the purpose never changed: to stop those who weaponized desperation and chaos against the innocent. Whether praised or condemned, Operation Lone Sentinel had already redrawn the border and reminded America that security always has a price. Were these raids justice or oppression? Whose side are you on? Type "protect" if you believe safety must come before politics. Because the next battle for America's soul may not start abroad. It may start right here, at home. By the end of September 2025, Operation Lone Sentinel had redrawn Texas's map of crime. Over 117 arrests, 5.1 tons of narcotics seized, and nearly $19 million in cartel assets frozen. Across all 5 targets, the total seized load climbed to over 5 tons, the largest narcotics haul in Texas since 2019. But for the agents who lived it, the mission was far from over. The border towns were quieter now, but every agent knew silence doesn't mean safety. Inside the DHS Fusion Center in Laredo, rows of monitors glowed red and green, each dot a lead, a target, or a life saved. The air smelled of burnt coffee, wet uniforms, and determination. Men and women who hadn't slept in days studied heat maps of smuggling corridors stretching from Del Rio to Brownsville. They had seen too much to ever mistake calm for peace. In public, Homeland Security called the raids a landmark success, a model of precision between ICE, DEA, FBI, and U.S. Border Patrol. For weeks, footage of the seizures dominated headlines. Politicians called it proof that the southern frontier was not lost. This was more than border enforcement, one senior DHS official told reporters. It was the defense of a nation's identity. Across Laredo, Eagle Pass, and McAllen, locals began to notice the difference. Fewer cartel spotters watching from rooftops. Fewer overdoses flooding rural ERs. The air felt lighter, but no one believed the fight was finished. Intelligence intercepts warned of CJNG and Gulf cartel cells rerouting through Arizona and New Mexico, using new aliases and fresh migrants to rebuild. So the agencies moved again. Phase 2 was authorized. Aerial patrols expanded north toward Interstate 35. FBI cyber units launched Project Talon, tracing wire transfers across 6 states. Thermal drones now scanned freight corridors at night, while financial forensics tracked every digital dollar leaving the country. One dawn, as agents watched the sun rise over the Rio Grande, someone in the command room broke the silence. Their voice was calm, steady, certain. "We're not just guarding the border anymore," they said. "We're guarding what it means to be American." And with that, the new phase began. Quiet, relentless, unseen. Because wars like this don't end with explosions. They end when justice learns to see in the dark. The border was still scarred, but stronger. The cartels had tried to invade with shadows, money, and fear. America answered with precision, unity, and resolve. And as Operation Lone Sentinel entered its next phase, one truth echoed through every command post. This isn't just law enforcement, it's for national defense. When the dust finally settled over Laredo, one truth remained. Lone Sentinel wasn't just a raid, it was a warning. A message to every network that believed the southern frontier could be taken for granted. What began as a counter-smuggling strike had evolved into a fight for national survival. A reminder that America's borders don't end at the river. They live in every town, every warehouse, every family that still believes in law and safety. For weeks, hundreds of agents, ICE, DEA, FBI, and US Border Patrol, moved as one, risking their lives in the smoke of meth labs and the crossfire of cartel gunmen. They didn't act for politics. They acted for people, for the kids walking to school in Laredo, for the families in Eagle Pass who just want to sleep without hearing drones overhead. Their courage proved a truth older than any borderline. America's defenders are not made in speeches. They're forged in the silence before the breach. The lesson of Lone Sentinel is simple and final. When law enforcement unites, evil runs out of places to hide. Illegal migration, organized crime, and narcotics warfare are not just border problems, they're American problems, fought inside our neighborhoods, our highways, and our hearts. And in Texas, those battles were met with precision, justice, and a will that could only belong to the United States. As this chapter closes, one mission remains: to protect the homeland from threats seen and unseen. That mission depends not just on the agents in the field, but on Americans who still believe justice is worth fighting for. So if you stand with those who wear the badge, if you believe America must never bow to fear, then hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because this fight isn't done. The next mission begins soon, and when it does, you'll want to be here when the first light breaks. Stay alert, stay united, stay American, USA.